Okay, we're going to go ahead and begin. And again, we appreciate you joining us today. And my name is Janice. For the duration of this presentation, all phones will be muted. However, you will still be able to type in any questions you have at any time during the webinar. We're going to do our best to answer questions during the presentation, but this is, of course, going to depend on the number of questions received and the time remaining in the webinar. For any questions that we are unable to answer during this session, we will try to provide an answer via a follow-up email. Right? There is one last really important thing I want to mention before we get to the good stuff. We've created a short survey that will be made available at the conclusion of the webinar. Survey results are used to help us adjust and perfect our services for all of us, for you, for us, going forward. So we hope you will take a moment to share your valuable feedback. That's really important. All right, so without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and turn you over to our presenters for today's event. And that's Mark Luckenbill, head of our Aspire 403B and 457 markets, and Sean Smith, our lead internal wholesaler for our 403B and 457 markets here at Aspire. Gentlemen, it's all yours.
Great. Thank you, Janice. Can you hear us okay?
Yes, I can.
Great. Thank you. Well, welcome, everybody, and thank you for joining today. We do have a large number of folks on the phone today, which is really exciting for us. We have a lot to tell you about today, certainly a lot going on at Aspire, and really wanted to update you on the 403B market, what we do here at Aspire, and what we see in the market. And just know right out of the gate that a lot of this will pertain more specifically into K through 12 market, but you also have a chance to see some generic 403B information and learn a little bit about what Aspire does from a 403B perspective outside of the K-12 market also. I thought about calling this presentation Preparing for a Big Summer and Fall. That's where we are right now. We're coming off of a spring selling season, and a lot of folks are starting to slow down a little bit, but we who focus in the K-12 market see the summer as a terrific opportunity to get a lot done. So excited you could join us today, and we're going to go ahead and dive right in. The first thing we want to do is just give a very basic overview of 403B, specifically the non-ERISA 403B and the K-12 market. Aspire also does ERISA plans, but today we'll be focusing on non-ERISA and K-12. And since we have such a large amount of folks on the phone, we got a lot of different levels of experience in 403B on the phone. So we'll be talking a little bit about the basics, but most of this time we're going to spend is really how to do business with Aspire and what we see in the marketplace. So starting with the basics, just wanted to make sure we reviewed a couple things with those of you who may be newer on the phone. When we look at 403B from a K-12 perspective, we have to remember that this is usually a secondary retirement plan for a lot of the teachers or folks we're working with. In most cases, these folks will be covered by a defined benefit plan through their employer or through the state in which they're employed. So the 403B plan is what we would consider a supplemental or voluntary retirement plan. It's a tax-deferred plan. Probably everybody on the phone knows that. We also think about contributions to the plan in a couple of different ways. We think about them as payroll deducts, where they're coming out of an employee paycheck and being remitted directly to a provider. We also think about it as plan-to-plan transfer, where somebody has accumulated assets with another vendor and is interested in moving them over to Aspire via our advisors. So two different types of contributions. We see a lot of both types, and we're going to tell you about something really exciting we do from the asset transfer perspective. Next, I just wanted to remind everybody that these programs are generally available to public school educators and not-for-profit employees. That's exactly how a 403B works. That's what that section of the code is for. And finally, something we might want to make sure we always mention for those who are newer to the K-12 market, this is what we refer to as a multi-vendor marketplace. This is not generally a plan where an employee only has one retirement plan choice. They usually can choose Aspire and a number of other companies to place their 403B with. So you as an advisor will see other vendors also competing for the same business that you are trying to set up with Aspire. Did want to give one quick tip here as well. We'll think of this as the Aspire Smart Tip. Really, really important that if you're somebody who's going to do business in the K-12 marketplace, you really do understand that defined benefit or pension program that the teacher or employee has available to them. They're going to want to know if they have a shortfall in retirement, and this is how you figure it out. If you know the formula for their defined benefit program, you can share roughly what their payout is going to be. In many cases, it'll be somewhere in the neighborhood of 40 to 70% of their final, what their final pay looks like, annual pay looks like, and that's where the 403B becomes really valuable, is to supplement the funds they'll be receiving from the defined benefit program. It's really easy to figure out what the defined benefit formula is. Usually you can just look it up right on, you can Google the state defined benefit program and figure it out that way. So it's something you should be able to get your hands on pretty easily. When we look at the market and the customer opportunity that we have, we look at it a couple different ways. The first way is we look at the plan opportunity. In other words, from Aspire's perspective, what do we have to do business with any particular participant through one of you as an advisor? So when we look at the employer, we know, as I just mentioned, that we could be looking at a multi-vendor scenario. So we have to essentially, with your help, get the employer to choose us to be a vendor if we're not already one. And we are going to share with you how easy it is to figure that out if we are a vendor already. We think about a couple things. I call it the F word. Several of these employers will be thinking about fiduciary responsibilities, and this is where a lot of confusion lies. These K-12 403B plans are non-ERISA plans and generally are not subject to the same fiduciary requirements as the ERISA market. So if you hear that word thrown around, just know that it's not as relevant in a non-ERISA market as it's going to be in the ERISA market. You should also know that there's a lot more TPAs and consultants getting involved in the K-12 marketplace, and this can affect what vendors are selected or maintained for the employees to choose from. We are seeing some changes in this corner of the world. We are seeing a lot of plans move from a bunch of vendors to fewer vendors, so that's something we see as a great opportunity for Aspire. We also see a lot of the employers now getting more sensitive to costs and being more interested in pure mutual funds as an option in their 403B. So you will find that a lot of plans out there today are largely insurance-based products or insurance-based providers that may or may not be offering a mutual fund solution. Aspire, you probably know, is a pure mutual fund solution. So that's a real differentiator for us in the marketplace. The other thing that we do really well is offer funds in an open architecture environment. So essentially, pretty much any fund that somebody is looking for can be found on our platform. And we'll talk a little bit more about that shortly as well. Once we're established in a plan, our job is to assist you in enrolling a participant. And just to share some trends we're seeing from a participant perspective, we're really seeing some changes in demographics. And you probably are too if you're in this market today. There's a lot of teachers who are leaving the profession just because of the age demographics that exist today. And that's actually a terrific opportunity because that means in many cases they have 403B accounts with other providers today and they'll be looking for help with those accounts. And that's an opportunity for you to potentially bring those accounts over to Aspire, or for many of you it may also be an IRA opportunity. But a lot of teachers are exiting the profession, and then we have a lot of new teachers entering the profession. And a lot of those professionals entering as teachers are the millennials and a lot of the younger folks who are getting into these jobs that are being replaced from folks that are retiring. One of the trends we really are starting to see is the way the millennials approach their career. And this is a terrific, terrific opportunity for the 403B. A lot of the millennials will tell you that they're not interested in being a teacher forever. They may be just looking to teach for a specific period of time as they look to do something else with their future. So if that is the case, in many cases they won't be accruing money in the defined benefit program. They won't be looking at a retirement benefit that they can take when they leave employment. So the 403B becomes their portable investment that they can take with them when they leave. So that's something that's really exciting to talk about with folks who are newer to the teaching profession. We're also seeing a giant trend towards technology. Folks are looking for better ways to get information, easier ways to get information, and our platform is an outstanding conduit to the mutual fund investments that they're interested in. And just as the plan and employer were interested in lowering their expenses, so too are the employees. We're hearing and seeing a lot more requests for mutual funds as a 403B solution. So those are all great things for Aspire, and they're great reasons for you to have Aspire as one of the options you offer to your clients who are in the 403B markets. Wanted to talk a little bit about Aspire's platform and our product, and the reason I put those two words together is Aspire really doesn't deliver a product in the marketplace per se. We are a pure record-keeping platform. What that means is our platform gives you as an advisor access to tens of thousands of mutual funds for you to help your clients invest in. We also give you access to top money managers if you're looking for money management solutions. Pretty exciting that we have about 3,500 different school districts around the country who do business with us today. And why this is important and how it's unique is a pretty neat story. Many times there is a relationship with school districts where only one advisor can sell or represent a company in that particular school district. Aspire uses a very different model in general. Our model is to leave a district open to any advisor who wants to work there, unless we're instructed by the school district for that not to be the case, and in some cases they will ask for a limited provider list or a list of advisors who they want to allow to sell in the district. If that is the case, we keep a limited list for them. The other reason would be is if we have one advisor who goes in and represents and sells that school district, and then that school district says, hey, Aspire, this is the only advisor we want to do business with us. But the great thing about the map you're looking at, for those of you who are online, is all of these green dots, or about 95% of these green dots are what we call open districts, are places that almost anybody who has a relationship with us from a broker-dealer perspective can go sell today. And we have a website that Sean's going to show you shortly where you can actually look up and make sure your broker-dealer has a relationship with us. If that is the case, you can essentially sell in any of our open school districts around the country today. I did want to make sure I mentioned that Sean will be doing a tutorial during the call today where he'll actually show you online how you can look up these school districts on our plan search feature. So you'll see that little Aspire 403B pop-up come up occasionally, because that's a reminder for me to let you know that Sean has some more exciting things for you as we go through the presentation when he goes on. When we think about why Aspire, why you would want to use Aspire as your only or premier company that you take into the 403B or K-12 space, we think there's a couple really concrete reasons that make this easy. The first one is our price, and we call this our street price because it's generally the price we're using for K-12 districts around the country. And this is the per participant price. There is no cost to the employer for this plan. Sometimes in an ERISA plan, you'll see costs through the plan. That is not the case with Aspire's plan. The zero cost to the employer, and the participant cost is going to be $40 per year and 15 basis points per year. And we bill that monthly, so we bill a little piece of that each particular month. And while this may seem like a challenging fee for that participant who's only putting in $25 or $50 a month, it really starts to make sense from a fee perspective for any participant who's putting in, say, $100 or $200 a month, or who's accumulated a significant balance in their account. Really, really inexpensive once account balances start to get larger, much less expensive than a lot of other products you see in the market. Second reason is what I explained already, the platform versus the product. Our platform is open advisor and open investment. That means that almost any of you could sell in almost any of the school districts we have open today, and you can choose the investments that you think are appropriate for your client based on what your broker-dealer offers or allows you to offer. Next is our technology, and I'm not going to talk a lot about this now because you're going to see Sean in a few moments go through it, but we have a terrific platform and portal. Our core record-keeping platform is going to allow you to access your client's information online, all in one bulk bundle if you want to see it that way. It's also obviously going to offer your clients a way to go in, manage their accounts, see what they're invested in, and check on their accounts whenever they like. Then we also have what's called the Plan Search Portal, which is a portal that helps you enroll participants and helps you figure out what school district Aspire is in, so you can essentially go and start doing business there today. And finally, it's our K-12 market expertise. We have a growing staff of several who are focused on this market. Our company is also deeply ingrained in technology supporting 403B. This is not something you'll find in the mutual fund world very often, and it's something that's becoming less prevalent, is that firms who are in the retirement space would focus on 403B, but that's certainly something we do here at Aspire. I often get asked questions, and so does Sean, about, okay, I'm interested in, an advisor may ask, we're interested in going into the K-12 market and doing business there, but we don't know how to get started. So wanted to quickly share with you the different folks in the schools who you'll need to become familiar with. And there are essentially 4 parties that are very important. First of all, the payroll office is going to be critical because they manage taking the money out of the participants' paychecks to send it to Aspire. So getting to know the payroll or HR manager is definitely an important step, and it's somebody you should try to know because they are one of the gatekeepers to 403B and K-12. The principal of each school is generally the person who grants the access for anybody to be on campus. So to the extent where you would want to do business or run appointments at a school location, you will have to very likely get the principal's approval to be able to do that. So it's certainly somebody else you should know. And all of the teachers generally defer to the principal's rules for who can and can't be at the location. Number 3, obviously the superintendent and the board of directors are critical. They oversee the vendors who are allowed to represent in the district, and in some cases they actually oversee which advisors are allowed to represent in the district. So important that you get to know them too if you're really trying to figure out how to do business in K-12. And finally, there's a group called third-party administrators. These are folks who entered the scene in 2009 when the regulations changed, and the third-party administrator is responsible for assisting with the oversight of the 403B from a day-to-day perspective to make sure the plan stays in compliance. Another tip for you as I go through that, the TPA is really, really important. And the TPA is somebody you absolutely should know who they are if you're in a particular school district. So Sean will show you how to figure out who that TPA is, and we actually list the TPA phone number right on our website. So if you're planning to go do business in a school district, or if you're planning to do more business there than you do today, the TPA is absolutely somebody you should know. And generally, it's in the TPA's best interest for the plan to grow. So they will help you do business to the extent they can in any particular school district where they're the administrator. From a process perspective, pretty easy getting somebody set up in 403B. There's a handful of forms that you have to do. Some of them are Aspire forms. Some of them are potentially the forms that your own broker-dealer may require. But it's critical that you fill out an agreement called the Salary Reduction Agreement, or SRA. This is the agreement that will go to the TPA or to the school that tells them how much money to take out of the employee's paycheck and where to send it. The Aspire enrollment form is obviously critical for us to get the employee demographics as well as the information on what investments they have chosen with your help. And then number 3 is broker-dealer forms. We find that a lot of the parties we do business with have client account forms or suitability forms that they have to fill out on behalf of the broker-dealer. So those are forms that you'll have to manage on your end. And finally, number 4, the transfer form is really important because this is for assist you with your ability to transfer funds from other providers to Aspire where you come across them. I want to spend a little bit of time also on the transfer concierge. It's very frequent that we hear that the reason that advisors don't spend a lot of time in 403B and the K-12 market is because the process of transferring money from other vendors out of other vendors to Aspire is very onerous. And what we do know is the process of setting up an account with Aspire is not onerous. It's generally the surrendering vendors process of getting the money out that's onerous. Many of the legacy vendors in the 403B space make it very difficult for participants to surrender their accounts to other vendors. So what we've done at Aspire is decide to make ourselves superstars and experts in this category. We keep a database of almost 200 different providers and how to figure out how to get monies from those providers to Aspire more quickly. And when you come to us and you fill out our distribution form and start the process with us to try to move money to Aspire, we help you with the entire process of getting the money from the other vendor by sharing information with you and letting you know what needs to occur. So we call this the transfer concierge. It's incredibly powerful and incredibly helpful to anybody who's trying to move money from one vendor over to Aspire. And we actually have folks who have moved blocks of business where it's made sense for their clients from other vendors to Aspire, and we can be very helpful there as well. So once you do your suitability to figure out if it's the right move to move a client to Aspire, we can definitely make the process easier for you. A couple of the important items on the screen. We like to ask you to initiate the process with Aspire. In other words, we'd rather get our paperwork to initiate the process instead of the other vendors surrendering paperwork. If we get them both together, that's terrific, but if you initiate the process with our paperwork, we can be much more helpful. We always like to point out that you will need to be aware of the withdrawal restrictions that you may have with other vendors. We do have a lot of advisors who come to us that ask us why it's so hard to get, as I mentioned, why it's so hard to get money out of other vendors and why there's a cost to getting money out of other vendors. These are strictly the costs of the vendor, and they may be surrender charges or restrictions, and you'll need to understand them as you try to withdraw money from other providers to move to Aspire. And then number 4, which goes without saying, whenever we deal with anybody who has to fill out a lot of forms from a financial perspective, it's very important that we get every field on our form filled out, and it's critically important that you fill out every field on the surrendering vendor's paperwork. Because if we don't have all those fields filled out, there's a lot of back and forth that has to occur, and usually we ask the advisor to shepherd that process if there's back and forth necessary. So that's the transfer concierge. Please ask about it if you have a transfer business that you're interested in bringing to Aspire from other 403B providers. I'm going to share a little bit about a vision we have for our 403B plan search and our portals in 403B, and then Sean is going to walk you through a little bit about what our website does today. Before I flip to the next slide, we have a vision that not only will you be sitting next to a participant with a computer in the future, but there's certainly the possibility that you and that potential participant or teacher might be on your phone or on a tablet and trying to figure out how to get started in a 403B. So we are already in the process of building what we call the enrollment portal for 403B. Today, the front end of this portal is mobile enabled or mobile friendly. So when you look at it on your phone, it looks really, really good, and it starts the enrollment process for you. The back end is not completed yet, so I'm giving you a little bit of a preview of what's to come. What's on your screen right now is a view of the computer view of the Aspire403B.com portal. We have an entry point for the participant who may be just coming here to look up their account balance. Then we have an entry point for the advisor. If an advisor clicks on that I am an advisor entry point, they're going to move into a new screen that's going to offer them 6 different options. And for today, I'm just going to share a little bit with you about the enroll a client option. And this is where you really can initiate the entire process online without having to pick up the phone and make a phone call to Aspire, or without having to actually have forms in your hand. So this is the view of the portal on a tablet and on the phone today. As I mentioned, if you go to Aspire403B.com on your tablet or phone, you're going to see a really, really nice, well laid out screen. But once you click a few clicks into it, it's not quite as mobile friendly. We're moving in the direction where everything on the site is going to be entirely mobile friendly, and Sean's going to show you why that is. You get to the point where you actually can email or print forms right from the site, so you can complete them with the participant while you both are sitting in their kitchen or the break room or wherever you may be. And this particular build out is coming soon. We don't have a time for it yet or an estimated completion date, but look for us to make transacting business and starting business via the phone and tablet a lot easier for you. Right now, I'd like to turn it over to Sean Smith. Sean is our lead internal wholesaler for the 403B business, and has probably talked to more than a few of you who are on this call, and spends his time all day long assisting advisors in the 403B market, helping them get accounts set up, helping them get plans set up, and generally being our jack of all trades with respect to the 403B business. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Sean, and I will come back with you shortly to wrap up. Sean?
Hey, thanks, Mark. Great job as usual. Appreciate it. Hey, everybody. Sean Smith here. Like Mark said, I'm going to walk through the website with you just to show you how easy it is to do business with us. As you can see, the website is right there. It's aspireonline.com. I know some of y'all might, just so you're not confused, we have a couple of different websites. The aspire403b.com, that takes you right to the enrollment portal. The aspireonline.com is the main website, and from there you can get to the plan sites from there, and you'll see here in a second. Once you enter aspireonline.com, you're going to hit this landing page right here. This is our main website. If you notice towards the top there, it has our name and company logo. It says our story, and then the arrow here will point to plan types. Once you take your cursor and go to plan types, this green dialog box will open up. Inside that green dialog box, you will select 403B. That takes you to our 403B plan page. If you notice, the 403B enrollment portal is over on the right-hand side, but I want you to focus today on the left-hand side. You see the large gray box there. You have several options. The second option says 403B Plan Search. You would click that option, and that takes you to the 403B Plan Search page. Here, as it says, you can simply find your plan. So you can select your states with the drop-down arrow on the left, or if you see over to the right, there's a map of the United States. You can simply click on your state there. For this example, we use Minnesota, so you would just either click on Minnesota or find it on the left. And you can scroll through the drop-down arrow on the left there through all the different districts that we have currently in Minnesota. If you kind of notice where it says or if you're looking for a particular district, you can just simply type it in there. And what's unique is, you start typing in the first few letters of the spelling of that district, and it'll pop up for you. Once you select your district, you're now on what we call the plan page. You note you have the name of the school there in kind of green lettering, and then to the immediate right of that in gray lettering is the plan ID number. On the enrollment form, there's a box where you put in the plan ID number, help speed things up for our enrollment team. Sometimes people call in because it does say in that box, it says, if you don't know your plan ID number, please contact client services. Just to point out, the plan ID number is right here from the same place where you download the enrollment forms. The default information is the plan details page. I'm kind of go over the other three boxes too, but you don't have to click on plan details. That's the default information it loads. As Mark mentioned in his part of the presentation, if you notice, this particular school district works with educators, benefit consultants. There's their address and phone number right there. Right next to that, underneath investment options, you have the investment firm policy. This particular district is closed, but most of our districts are open. Any district that's open, you are allowed to write a book of business. So you don't have to wonder, oh, do I have to call somebody or do I have to register? Or no, if it's open, you're free to write a book of business. And then that final box, financial advisors, as most of you are on this call, you have joined our network. So you have selected 3, 4, 5 districts which you wanted to be selected. If this is one of the districts you requested to be selected in, that's where your information will be found at when someone clicks on financial advisors. And if you know below that, there's some enrollment procedures. So there's some informative directions there. The full page isn't listed here, but as you scroll down to the bottom, which you'll see as I progress here in a moment over the next chart, there's a lot of good information there with the client services number. Client services can help you out with questions you have about the enrollment forms, transfer forms, or distribution of loan forms. This page here is when you scroll down to the bottom of the plan page. You see this grid that looks like an Excel file. And the name of the forms that you can download are listed there on the left. And as Mark pointed out a moment ago, you see now you have the choice where you can either email it to yourself if you're having a problem downloading the page, but then of course you can download and print the page right from this page here. What's commonly used here is that 403B Enrollment Kit Standard. If you look kind of third from the bottom, that's the basic enrollment form. In cases of plans that are working with a third-party administrator such as this one, the salary reduction agreement that Mark mentioned, you can download that form from here, but also it kind of takes you out to their website. So there's a link that takes you out to the third-party administrator website where you can download the applicable forms there. And again, your day-to-day transactions such as transfers, distributions, most TPAs do not sign our forms. They have their own form that grants access to accompany our form. They don't sign our form. So when you get our form, you see where it calls for a plan sponsor or TPA signature. Most won't sign our form. As a matter of fact, usually the only ones that will sign our form are plans that are what's called self-directed, They're self-administering. They'll sign our form, but most TPAs will not sign our form. You have to go to their website to download their applicable access form or authorization form. Here's a more boldened section of that grid. Again, you have the name of the form you want on the left and the applicable action that you need to do. You can email it to yourself, email it to a client, or just simply download the form right there. Or in some cases, you can go visit the third-party administrator's website. If you notice at the bottom where it says transfer form EBC, that's their authorization form. Again, the website is aspireonline.com. I'm going to go there now and show you some other neat tricks. When the plan page loads, and again, just to show, here's that plan types we talked about, and now you can see the green dialog box you heard me refer to. Most of you have probably done this. For those of you that haven't, I encourage you to do so after the end of this call. But we have what's called a subsection of our website called the Invest Design Center. The Invest Design Center is a wonderful one-stop shopping area, as I'll show you here in a moment. Simply click on the link at the bottom, and that brings you to the Invest Design Center Register Now page. For those of you that register, once you've registered, often your username and password will show up on this new page, and this is freshly designed too. So you register here, and once you type in the information it's asking for, you simply click register at the bottom. And once you register, it kind of brings you right back to this page to where you can simply log in. If you've noticed this beautiful blue bar, it says 403B School Box. This School Box is a great site visit kit. So when you know you're about to go and maybe a vendor fair or just, you know, one of the plan administrators, superintendent, whomever gave you access, here's a lot of forms you can take with you. Enrollment forms, transfer forms. Clicking on the box now. The promotional poster and the 403B plan information sheets, I like to refer to those as 8.5 by 11 business cards. There's a section, a perforated section, where you can type in your name, your firm's name, your state licenses, and good information like that. You have a list of fund companies. This confuses a lot of people. As you all are probably aware of, we're full open investment choice. You are not restricted to the list of funds you see here. This is just to help people get the wheel spinning, give you an idea of some of the funds that we carry, but you're not beholden to just this list. So if you have a question about a fund that's not on this list, feel free to give us a call to client services or shoot us an email to info@aspireonline.com for a fund review. Then, of course, your enrollment form and transfer form are here. And then this ETF form, we do offer ETFs here. The ETFs will take the custodial fee from 15 basis points to 20 basis points. It's an additional 5 basis points to cover the trading cost. The ETF addendum that the participant needs to sign is right here. For my Edward Jones reps that might be on this call today, your list of funds can be found on JonesLink, and the web ID for that is 046777. Again, 046777. I'm going up to this top part, back to dashboard. That takes us back to the main dashboard where we first logged in. This is why I call this the one-stop shopping area. If you notice below this map of the United States, it says K-12 tools. So the plan search, as you heard me mention a moment ago, is located here. Investment firm search that Mark mentioned a moment ago to see if your broker-dealer has selling agreements with us, that's located here. And speaking of that, if you're a registered independent, you don't have to have a selling agreement. The enrollment form becomes your selling agreement between yourself, the client, and Aspire. And the investment search is also here. The investment search is kind of like a Excel file that you can download. It kind of has all the mutual funds. And again, if you have a question about a fund, feel free to give us a call in the client services or shoot us an email to info@aspireonline.com. Quick and easy? Yeah, I think so too. So I'm going to turn it back over to Mark. Any questions that we have, we can entertain at this time. Mark?
Great. Thank you, Sean. I'm going to go ahead and close us out here. Thank you, Sean. I did want to talk about a couple more things before we jump into the questions. Real quickly, we do have a lot of questions coming in, and we will try to take a few of them as we close out. But I wanted to share with you a little bit about the structure that we try to use from a service perspective to make things easier for you and easier for us in handling the volume of information that we have coming in. So what you're looking at now is the 3 different ways we feel like are most effective for you to reach out to us to get more information or to get assistance with the enrollment process, the plan setup process, the transfer process, whatever it may be. So your first stop, you just saw a whole bunch of. Sean did a terrific job showing you AspireOnline.com. You also saw the Aspire403b.com portal. Check them both out, get familiar with them, because they're both tools that are going to have all the paperwork and all the marketing support you would ever want. The School Box is a terrific, terrific place for you to go to get information that will be welcoming and set up specifically for K-12. And then anything regarding the plan lookup, Sean showed you also, or TPA information is on the website. When you get to that next level and you have questions about client setup or a transfer, a specific transfer, or just need generic client assistance regarding an account, client services is absolutely the best option, and the phone number, which is up here on the slide, 866-634-5873, option 3. These folks are there and staffed to help you with 403B. They're familiar with 403B, so they will speak the same language with you with respect to setting up and maintaining client accounts. And then, of course, who you just heard from, if you have what I call advanced plan issues, you need to set up a new plan and you're running into an issue with a decision maker, or there's another piece of paperwork that somebody is asking for and you're not sure what that is, Sean is absolutely the man to call. He can also give you direction with respect to marketing support, whether that be how do you get Aspire added to a school district, or something as simple as what can I take to hand out to participants at a benefits fair this fall. Sean can help you with all those types of things, and his direct line is right here. I will put the caveat in for Sean that Sean has a tremendous volume of inbound calls, so if you do put in a call to Sean, he's likely to answer the phone, but if he doesn't, you end up in his voicemail. Please be patient and give him a little bit of time to get back to you. We also all have email addresses that are our first name and last name at aspireonline.com, and we can be reached that way. To conclude, before we try to answer just a few questions, I wanted to show you and thank you, just give you a view of who our Aspire team is, and just thank you all for joining the call. Here you're looking at the pictures of the 6 of us who make up the majority of the outward-facing 403B and 457 team, and all of these folks are here to assist you. And as I mentioned, we can all be reached by first name dot last name at aspireonline.com. We have a growing staff of folks supporting this business, both from an inbound perspective and outbound perspective. So we're thrilled with the amount of folks who joined this call. We hope it's been real beneficial to you. And I have some technical questions and some generic questions right now that we'll try to work our way through, and we probably can get you out of here a little bit early. I probably won't get to all of the questions that have been submitted, and the reason for that is some of them are very specific and make a lot more sense for us to either discuss or answer to you directly. As I look through the questions, some of them are specific to a TPA or specific to a certain scenario, and rather than share that on the phone with the larger audience, I think we'd be better served trying to get a hold of you indirectly. Getting a hold of you directly. We do have your name associated with each of the questions we've received, so we will do our best to follow up with you in short time. But with that, I do have a couple questions, and Sean and I will try to play a little back and forth here as we answer the questions. Sean, the first question I'm going to ask you is, we got a question that is, what is your relationship with the TPA Omni?
The relationship we have with Omni is Omni works with several providers out there, as it were. And since Aspire is one of their unbundled options, we're listed as an aggregator, but we are one of their P3 preferreds. So as much as I would love that we're automatically put in districts where they're a TPA, that's not always the case. But you can go on their websites, which is an easy one like ours. It's omni403b.com. Put in the applicable school district. They'll see a listing of the 457 and 403b providers there now, and you'll see Aspire listed. We're always towards the top of the alphabetical order. If we're not listed, and you have maybe a board member that you know or superintendent, it's usually not an arduous process at all to get ourselves added because we are one of their P3 providers.
Great. Thank you, Sean.
Sure.
This next question I think we answered to a great degree during the presentation, but can you go through the abridged version of how does somebody go about transferring an existing annuity contract to the mutual funds at Aspire?
Absolutely, absolutely. So on our transfer form, there's a section down there that asks you if you wish to transfer 100% of the value or some percentage. Unfortunately, most annuity companies, there's some as little as 2-3%, but I have seen some as high as 6 and 8% surrender value. So obviously, in respect to the client, you're not going to do 100% because it's going to cost them from 2 to 8% to do so. So you have to, that's when you work with the surrendering vendor and find out what amount can you bring over now that won't get you into that surrender fee and bring that amount over. Typically a year or so each year and another amount frees up until you can bring the rest of the money over. That's where our transfer concierge comes in handy because guess what? They'll follow up with that surrendering vendor at the end of that year.
Great. Thank you, Sean.
Sure.
I have also noticed there is a number of questions about 457. So they stem from, do we do business in 457 municipalities to what is the relationship between the 403 and 457 in the K-12 market? So I'm just going to take a quick minute to tell you the answer is yes. We generally do a lot of both. So many of you probably know a lot of the 403Bs in the K-12 space also have 457 plans that are available to the participants. We have a lot of school districts where we are a provider in both the 403B and the 457, and we're getting an increasing amount of school districts where we do 403B business today who are coming to us and asking to do 457 business as well. The platform works exactly the same. The account expenses work exactly the same in that K-12 space. So everything you saw in the 403B works very, very similar in the 457 from a platform and product perspective. When it comes to municipalities, it can work a little bit differently in that sometimes we have very large municipalities who will come to us to do business, and generally they're coming to us through an advisor like yourself, where they have a large block of clients they will want to move to us. If that is the situation, we sometimes can do some special pricing for them. So if you do have a 457 opportunity in a municipality, please bring that to us directly. And to that end, we actually have a new hire who you're looking at in photo today, Daniel Sargent, who is going to be heading up our 457 plan pursuit. So Dan is very interested in hearing from you if you have 457 opportunities. The other questions that I'm seeing increasingly and a number of all involve TPAs and items specific to TPAs. So Sean shared a whole bunch, I think, even after some of these questions came in. But we do work with most, or if not all, of the major TPAs around the country. And the TPAs are definitely evolving regarding what they are. For the last few years, they've been very specifically just managing the requirements for the 403 regulations. But as they get deeper and deeper relationships with the school districts, they're also becoming more of a conduit for provider selection. And Sean mentioned the P3. Omni has a system that they clearly use for tiering their providers. You'll also see similar things from several other TPAs. In general, Aspire has a very good relationship with TPAs. We offer the open platform, so we look very different from their other vendor relationships. And we have a very straightforward way of collecting the fees on behalf of the TPAs that they really like. So do know that if you have TPA questions that are very specific, those are probably things we can answer for you directly, and we'll try to get to some of the questions aren't here. Let me scroll through and see if we have a couple others we can grab before trying to get you off the line early, perhaps. Somebody else asked this question about model portfolios and money management. We do business with several key and well-known money managers on our platform. And Sean, I don't know if you want to share who a couple of those are. I know we have some pretty good relationships with a few.
Love to, yeah. So we have some that they do both 401k and 403b, but some just do 401k. But some of the, I guess some of the more popular options, as it were, for 403b, that would be Morningstar, CLS Investments, Navalier, Iron Financial. There are one or two others that come to mind, but like I say, some don't. They're not really in the 403b, but those four, those are kind of our big four, as it were, in the 403b, 457 space.
Great. And related to that, we did get a couple questions about capabilities regarding advisors managing their own models of sorts on our portfolios. And this is an interesting space where we're trying to do more in this space. Essentially, this would be the ability for you to have specific models based on the funds you have selected for your participants. And then when you decide to make a model change, have Aspire, through Aspire, have the capability to make those investment changes across all of the participants who have selected that specific model. We do this today. What we don't do well is administer this for clients or advisors who only have a few participants. If you have an opportunity where you have a significant amount of participants and you'd like to administer models on our portfolio, that is something we generally take offline and have a discussion with you just so you can understand what our process looks like today. But because we have the open platform, that tends to work very, very well, and we do have the capability of doing it. But we'd love to have those discussions with you offline, and we'll get back to those of you who have submitted specific questions around that. Sean, somebody asked to see, I don't know if there's time for this, somebody asked to see the view of their clients. So we'll probably have you get back to them directly, yes, as opposed to doing this on the...
Yeah. Anyone that needs what I call advisor login or advisor navigation, please feel free to either call me to set up a time to go over that or email me. But just so you know, client services can also help you out with that. So, you know, Mark had my number up a moment ago. It's 813-517-0556. The email is Sean, spelled S-E-A-N, as you see there on the screen, .Smith at aspireonline.com. I can gladly help you out with that. But as Mark also mentioned, just due to volume, which thank y'all, y'all keep me busy. Due to volume, it might take me a moment to get back with you. Just remember Plan B. Plan B, client services can also help you out with A, obtaining your advisor login, and then B, just showing you how to navigate through your client's account.
Great, thank you, Sean. Another question we got from an old friend. Do we still offer a fixed account? It's a great question. We are at a mutual fund platform, but we actually have a unique guaranteed investment option that's offered by Prudential. It is an insurance product, so it requires you to fill out a little bit of extra paperwork and have an agreement directly with Prudential. But yes, we do offer that product, and it is somewhat popular and becoming more popular in the 403B program. So it is a guaranteed interest account that sits within the confines of our open platform, open mutual fund platform. And looking through here, it looks like most of the other questions I'm seeing are somewhat administrative in nature, and we probably can get back to folks directly. Somebody asked about getting a copy of the presentation, and we will make that available. Their presentation is being recorded. We will make that link available to everybody on the call. And regarding what we are going to do for future presentations, it's probably a terrific opportunity for me to wrap up and hand over to Janice. We would love your feedback. We have been doing, trying to shoot for one webinar per quarter for the Advisor Network, those of you on the phone. For those who join our Advisor Network, we want to be able to do these at least quarterly for you, and we'd like to be able to bring outside guests and address topics that you're very interested in that help you grow and manage your business. So Janice is going to close out with a little bit of a roundout of all that we've talked about today and share with you how we'd love to get your feedback in the future. So as we approach the 2 o'clock hour, I'm going to wrap up here. Again, we couldn't get to everybody's questions, but we will